And a very warm welcome to all of you here to the Barony Hall, one of the jewels in the crown of the university's estate, to our autumn graduations. And I'm delighted to say this is one of the high points in the calendar of the university where we celebrate the fantastic achievements of currently our graduands, soon to be graduates, over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. And you should know that each year we graduate around 3,500 students. That is a major amount of intellectual horsepower that we're launching into their careers. And mums, dads, supporters, and other members of the community here to celebrate it from all over the UK, from across Scotland and further afield in the international scene. So you're most welcome. And of course, the primary reason for this morning is the conferring of degrees. But occasionally, we welcome some special guests to light up the ceremony even more. We have two such excellent guests with us today. The first one is actually in the audience with you, and I'm delighted to say that the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, is with us this morning. And Nicola is here in a private capacity. I'm delighted to say Nicola is here to support one of our wonderful students, Callum Lynch, who will be graduating this morning. And Nicola is here in her capacity as a corporate parent, supporting Callum's journey and most recent journey through the University of Strathclyde as an undergraduate. First Minister, welcome this morning. And on the stage with me is a wonderful person about whom you will hear a little more shortly, and that is Adele Patrick, who's going to be a wonderful member of the extended Strathclyde community this morning as we confer an honorary degree. And the story of Adele's contributions and the reasons for which we gather today to honour her achievements. It will be presented by Professor Sarah Carter, who's Associate Principal of the University. So with this exciting array of talent before me and behind me, I now formally declare this congregation open and invite Professor Carter to the podium. Thank you.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present to you Dr. Adele Patrick. Adele Patrick is a prominent campaigner for gender equality and widely acknowledged as an inspiration and support to women across Scotland. Her academic research, her activism, and her professional career centre on questions of equality, gender, and class. Her special focus is on women's creativity, working-class culture, and dissident identities, and she has been involved in campaigning, research, writing, teaching, and community learning and development on women and gender for over 30 years. Born and raised in Yorkshire, Adele Patrick came to Glasgow as an undergraduate to study textiles at the Glasgow School of Art. As we see for so many of our students, university was a life-forming experience for Adele. She graduated with a BA in embroidered and woven textiles in 1983, and her degree show work was purchased by the Royal School of Needlework, the International Centre for Excellence for the Art of Hand Embroidery at Hampton Court Palace. Adele continued as a postgraduate student at the Glasgow School of Art, studying for an MA Design, and as an alternative to an industrial placement, co-founded the Graven Images Design Company with fellow students Janice Kirkpatrick and Ross Hunter. After graduating, she joined the Historical and Critical Studies Department at Glasgow School of Art, where she supervised gender, art, and culture studies for 12 years. Adele gained a doctorate in 2004 from the University of Stirling for research focused on the convergence of gender, feminism, class, and ethnicity in the territory of self-fashioning in post-war Britain. Adele's research showed how fashionings associated with working-class women, whether in hair, makeup, jewellery, or dress, had been demonised throughout history by the arbiters of taste. The enterprising spirit shown by Adele in founding a successful business while still a student was evident again in 1987 when she founded a new arts organisation, Women in Profile, to ensure the representation and celebration of women's cultural and creative contributions during Glasgow's year as the European City of Culture in 1990. The Glasgow Women's Library's first collection was the records gathered throughout this period in a small volunteer-run library in a shopfront in Garnet Hill. Dr. Patrick was the driving force behind starting the Glasgow Women's Library, and she has worked for more than 25 years to transform it from a small grassroots organisation into a major cultural hub and community resource, which supports and empowers women and documents women's culture in Scotland. Glasgow Women's Library is the only accredited museum in the UK dedicated to the women's lives, histories and achievements, with a lending library, archive collections, and innovative programmes of public events and learning opportunities. It is a recognised collection of national significance. The library now has its first permanent base, a Grade B listed library building in Bridgeton, which houses more than 20,000 books and 300,000 archival items, all donated, and has expanded to take on 22 paid staff alongside 100 volunteers. The Glasgow Women's Library is a pioneering social enterprise embedded in its local community. It is also an internationally recognised cultural hub with valuable collections in printed and material form that document the lives and creativity of women in Scotland and beyond. Described by the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, as a national treasure, the library's success is rooted in grassroots activism. While visitors come from all over the world to visit Glasgow Women's Library, it remains focused on the community, providing an impressive range of literary, arts and academic events and supporting the work of students from school pupils to postgraduate scholars. It is particularly apt that we honour Dr. Patrick here at the University of Strathclyde. The university was founded in 1796, a time when there were no opportunities for higher education of women. Our founder, John Anderson, a professor of natural philosophy at the University of Glasgow, who pioneered the idea of technical education, bequeathed a sum of money for the foundation of a rival college to which tradesmen, artisan, and women would be admitted. He wrote in his will that such a stock of general education will be laid in as will make them the most accomplished ladies in Europe. It's reputed that in the first few years of Anderson's College, between 1797 and 1800, half of the 972 students were women. This great experiment in women's education was undermined by the lack of opportunities for women to put their learning into practice. But the example of Anderson's College, a century ahead of its time, was taken up by campaigners for women's education in the 19th century. The University of Strathclyde today is a modern incarnation of Anderson's founding philosophy, a leading international, technological, and socially progressive university. We are both rooted in our local community and avowedly international, and proud of our capacity to transform the lives of our students. We're also proud of our founders' pioneering commitment to women's education, a commitment that, of course, remains steadfast. History has shown us that the road to social progress, and in particular the road to gender equality, is not straightforward and is constantly challenged. Adele Patrick's work reminds us that, in the words of Maya Angelou, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. It is with great pleasure, therefore, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, that with the authority of Senate, I ask you to confer upon Dr. Adele Patrick the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa.
I create you Doctor of the University, honoris causa. Many congratulations and welcome to the Strathclyde family.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Principal, Chancellor, Court and Senate, to Andy and the wonderful team who've welcomed me here today, and to Sarah for that moving, wonderful presentation. It's 35 years since I first graduated in a context of political, social and cultural flux, plus ça change. And I remember feeling that exhilarating blend of mild terror, huge excitement, uncertainty, as the wide world opened up from the harbour of the educational institution. In the 1980s, this sort of pre-internet, pre-mobile phone regenerating Glasgow was a relatively hostile one for some, where to be called a woman, let alone queer or black, was considered slightly derogatory. At the time, the mandatory text at Glasgow School of Art, where I joined the student cohort, was The History of Art by Gombrich, a real doorstopper that contained no, and that's no women artist at all within it, which was all grist to my emerging feminist consciousness. But ours was certainly a generation that brokered and witnessed huge changes in addressing inequality. As each year passes since first graduating, I feel increasingly grateful for that period of incubation of my creative and critical self, the seeding of firm, long-standing friendships, and really grateful that my values have been galvanised in Glasgow. But what can I say to you today as you graduate? Some of you may have had to struggle to undertake a degree, especially if you've had to fund your studies or to some degree, or where there may have been other expectations for you, other pressures on you. Regardless, or perhaps because of overcoming hardships, you, the new graduating cohort, really do now have everything that you need, or at least everything within your grasp as you grapple with the world beyond education. We are a privileged minority, and as such have responsibilities now to make a difference, to call out and resist complicity in any abuse of power that we identify, to create something entirely new and needed, and, if you choose to do so, to make a dynamic and humane impression on the social, economic and cultural, the creative life of Glasgow, Scotland and beyond. Fueled by belief fostered at the art school that inequality could be addressed with creativity and innovation, I've had an exciting, sometimes daunting journey helping to fashion a new institution for Scotland. So much of my work supporting the creation of what is amazingly this unique resource in the UK now has been constructed on the bedrock of confidence gained, skills learnt, tried and tested at the School of Art at the University of Strathclyde, where I began my doctoral research at an absolutely critical point in my life, and at the University of Stirling. Scotland has provided the very best of learning environments to nurture a sense of self and purpose. We need to reflect and act on this whenever we sense any changes in the direction of travel away from a fully accessible education system, a crucible for learning that's open to all ideas and perspectives, unfettered by political or corporate pressures. Being something of a natural contrarian, I was keen to unlearn as well as learn, to question and to cross disciplines throughout my formal education. The educational institutions of today, exemplified here at University of Strathclyde, seem much more open to the interdisciplinary. But if I've got a further recommendation for you as you go about making the future world, it would be to foster an interdisciplinary as well as an interdisciplinary approach. Researchers are now strongly advocating that the jobs of the future will not fit into boxes, as did the professions of yesterday or today. Future jobs will require not just interdisciplinary, but interdisciplinary thinking and doing. My art schooling made me fiercely, and as it's transpired, quite productively resistant to inside-the-box thinking in any form. It made me fearless about trespassing in areas that I was not strictly qualified to work in. It was this type of thinking that led me without any training and complete naivety to believe that I could create a multi-award-winning library, a museum, an accredited museum, with a group of similarly unqualified friends. So I'm hoping that you feel as I did on graduating, that forging your own sense of self, that it has as its culmination today as you prepare for liftoff, has led you to feel courageous, open to risk-taking, committed to justice and to change. Now certainly is the time to relish being industrious, to cherish and draw upon your friendships, to innovate and to stand by your values. That last bit, feeling secure in your values and seeing no difference in the values that you uphold in your personal and professional life, is, in my view, above all, the most important work that you can do. The core values that I've chosen to stand by and are the ones that we share as a group at the Women's Library are empowerment, enabling others to find and express their voice, valuing and respecting everyone regardless of their background, constantly being open to learning and being truly committed to equality, diversity and inclusivity. In essence, being kind. The enduring memory that I have of arriving in Glasgow all those years ago is an indelible impression. And the overarching impression was that people were kind to me. Again, all the evidence is pointing to values-driven, kind enterprises being the most successful, the most innovative, the best environments to work in, the most sustainable with the most productive and fulfilled employees. So my final suggestion is, having decided what values are going to be your compass in the world, make sure that the places that you work in align with them. And if they don't, create your own, as I did with others that shared my own values, and I shared values with them. You've been given all the tools you need to do this, to carve new, dynamic and impactful pathways driven by hope-fueled passion. So thank you once again to University of Strathclyde for conferring this truly wonderful honour.
Principal, Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in English, Heather Gale Frolick. And in History, Fiona Armstrong. Tora Teresa Alberta Hans. Judge Sharif Mohammed Alarbi Hassan Abdallah. And in Psychology, Hanan Ahmed Demati. Gillian Elizabeth Little. And for the degree of Master of Research in History, Stephanie Helen Rebecca Weinrob. And for the degree of Master of Letters in Literature, Culture and Place, Stephanie Bintiner. And in Digital Journalism, Ari Assad. Laurie Delaney. Paul Gerard, Ryan Kay, Lam Ji Un Win, Alexander James McClellan, Rory Jamie Walker Marr, Bryce Catherine Mills, Cheney Du Godwin Okafor, John Patterson, Valentina Silvano, Carlotta Tavira, Tanya Tornese, Efina Tilsaku, Cameron Alexander Willis, Sophia Zihar, and for the degree of Master of Science in Health History, Richard Scobie. And in Historical Studies, Emma Campbell Stewart Brunton. Neil David Cameron. Lewis Miller Casals. Gina Charlotte Mackenzie Lockery. And in Business Translation and Interpretation, Siyu Lu. And in Public Policy, Mary Elizabeth Toolbour. And in International Public Policy, Ryan John McRobert. And in International Relations, Laura Sarah McLaughlin. Mark Morrison. Alice Elizabeth Quinn. Louise Ainsley Walwork. And in Educational Psychology, Kirsty Cahoon. Marie Jane Davidson. Jennifer Marie Dent. Shona Kelly Gorey. Lisa Jane Henderson. Lindsay McCorkle. Madeline Claire McKinnon. Joanna Ellen Moyer. Lisa Mybrough. Jennifer Norval. Alison Jane Woods. And in research methods and psychology, Maria Ali. Jacqueline Farrell. Catherine Kristen Kala. Stephanie Patterson. Ross David Stewart. Kirsten Watt. And in clinical health psychology, Emma Evangeline Campsey. Michael Charles. John Michael Clements. Gemma Elizabeth Dixon. Anastasia Georgia. Amanda Beth Gomer. Greg James Halliday. Ali Yasser Abdil Kadir Kalouf. Alexandra Catherine Lamond. Monica McAllister. Monica McCoat. Jessica McLaren. Demi McMillan. Nicola Catherine McPherson. Jordan Miller. Stephanie O'Clery. Sarah Siobhan O'Dowd. Catherine Ann O'Hare. Abigail O'Pear Obubisa. Ian Robert Pringle. Yupe Shu Lisa Rapto Demos. Meike Frederica Richter. Rory Sors. Mavish Kaif Shahad. Julie Vibon. And for the degree of Master of Laws in Construction Law, Mohammed Osama Mod Saladin El Gaundar. Jordan MacArthur. Murray Alexander Steele. And in Information Technology and Telecommunications Law, Mary Kavbertina Mappe. Brigitte Nidong. And in Human Rights Law, to Sarah Gun Ashun. Gary McClelland. And in International Economic Law, Jiahang Si. And in International Law and Sustainable Development, Nabil Esther. Rika Skooks. Victoria Reeves Tomlinson. And in Mediation and Conflict Resolution, Honor Giorgio Logan. And in Professional Legal Practice, Christopher Louis Clark. And in Climate Change Law and Policy, Gathija Susan Nawari. Estefan Jimenez Rodriguez. Johan Thijs. And for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Speech and Language Pathology, Terry Leanne McElroy. Lindsay McNaughton. In Sport and Physical Activity, Andrew Kevin Waters. And for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English, Taylor Gardner. In French and Marketing, Caitlin Cowan Hospital. In History, Ewan George Clark. David Emerson. Anthony O'Kane. Fraser Douglas Young. And in History, Politics and International Relations, Erin Rose Binning. And in Politics and International Relations, Amy Nicholson. In Psychology, Rory Peter Gill. Lindsay Richardson. Erin Chambers. And in Spanish and Marketing, Raza Aizal Onati. And in Humanities and Social Sciences, Nicolas Balatatsas. Julie Ann Glenn Corse. Atanas Augustin Kafalov. Deborah MacDonald. Olivier Amber McGlade. And in Marketing and Human Resource Management, Callum William McCall Roberts Lynch. And for the degree of Bachelor of Laws, Hayden Thomas Bain. Sean Glancy. Chiara Louise Matitrick. Caitlin O'Hare. Sabia Hanif Kidd. Vito Simone. Lisa Ann Carmichael. Constance Devlin Flynn. Nicole Michelle Galogly. Noreen Katrina Hutchinson. Satvinder Singh. And in Scots and English law, Ajwinder Singh Alula. And in law, clinical, Andrew James Burns. And for the postgraduate diploma in counselling, Caroline Barr. Leslie Elizabetha Deschner. Stephanie McDermott.
That's 2 degrees I've just confirmed.
And in counselling and psychotherapy, Saliha Anjum. Jennifer Louise Connolly. Jacqueline Crilly. Alan Geddes. Sandra Elaine Ingram. Catherine Leask. Lindsay Dawn McCann. Elaine Hamilton McQueen. Gillian McTavish. Monica Ruth Mocker. Catherine Murray. Joanne Marie O'Donnell. Faiwasad Adinju Onifad. Andrea McFarlane Ormond. Pamela Grace Parker. Christopher James Purnell. Kim Robertson. Dawn Duncan Sherlock. Tamlin Stehowder. And in professional legal practice, Sabia Ahmed. Qasim Hussein Ali. Adam Bennett. Jamie Devlin. Claire Kathleen Doherty. Jane Marie Elliott. David Peter Harvey. Mariella Elizabeth Hunter. Rabia Islam. Chloe Helen Murray. Andrew Kerr Napier. Hope Raleigh. Kirsty Rodden. Sylvia Rodriguez Molini. Amanda Scott. And in Employment and Labour Law Studies, Scott McCabe.
What a wonderful start to the day. That just gets you excited about what's ahead of you. A big round of applause for all of our graduates. So, ladies and gentlemen, graduates, let me reiterate our welcome to this wonderful ceremony, a day that none of you will forget. It marks the successful conclusion of years of hard work, and now you've graduated in front of your proud parents, your friends and your supporters. And today we welcome visitors from all over Scotland, across the UK, and indeed a broad, rich international field of contributors, and we're delighted to see you here to join in our celebrations. As we reflect on recent political dynamics across Scotland and the UK, throughout Europe and across the Atlantic, it's worthwhile acknowledging the key roles that universities play, and none less than my own institution, the University of Strathclyde. Strathclyde is a university where freedom of thought is valued and encouraged, a place that is both tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together to enjoy excellent education and a shared student experience. We benefit from having students and staff for over 100 countries. Ours is a socially progressive community and one that is an exemplar for modern society, plural, multicultural and enlightened. And we're here today, of course, to acknowledge your hard work, the learning that you've built up and the successful completion of your degree course. Appropriately enough, the American inventor Thomas Edison, electrical engineer as it happens too, said that genius was 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I'm sure in the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences the ratios might have been a little bit better than that, but well done to all of you. I was brought up here in Glasgow, in a sunny hamlet called Govan, a place that I'm very proud of. And our town's historical motto is Nihil sine labore, nothing without hard work or effort. It's an embracing ethos that I take into every day of work, and I recommend to all of you, as you graduate today, bring that close to your chest. Nihil sine labore. You're very clever people, you're highly accomplished, but apply yourself now, make a difference. And today you've become Strathclyde alumni, and you're the latest of our torchbearers, just like many generations of graduations before you, those that have come out of these ceremonies. And now with all that you've successfully come through, I know you would agree that you couldn't have done this without the backing and encouragement of the community of supporters that you've had around you. And it's fitting that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates and the university at large owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. I was the first one in my own family to go to university, as it happens, here at the University of Strathclyde in 1974. As a very talented 6-year-old, not many young people got to university at that age, I have to say. But I know the importance of such support, and I'm sure that today's graduates and our university staff would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you, the families, friends and supporters, for all that you've done to make today possible. Thank you very much indeed. And for our academic staff too, this is a very important day. because your success is ultimately their reward. They've worked along with the university to provide you with a high-quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our students, regardless of background. So let me invite again our new graduates to thank our staff for all that they've done to support you in your journey and to have your achievements today. Thank you very much. As you heard from Sarah Carter earlier on, we were founded in 1796, so this is our 221st birthday this year. And throughout our history, the University of Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles. We were established, and I quote, for the benefit of mankind, and some of the detail that Sarah shared with you earlier. We were the only Scottish higher education institution to be established during the period of the Scottish Enlightenment, a distinguishing characteristic of Strathclyde and something that we build on. And now we're driving our institutional strategy forward in that same exciting spirit, making it wholly relevant to the 21st century. Our founder, John Anderson, that you heard, a physicist or natural philosopher, had strong links with Benjamin Franklin, the American inventor and academic. Franklin was one of the founders of the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 under the banner of useful knowledge. And this influenced the thinking of our founder and resonates beautifully with Strathclyde's motto of useful learning. And never has this philosophy been so relevant since our establishment over 200 years ago. The motto, known by all of our staff and students, still defines our purpose as a leading international technological university that carries out our academic mission in a socially progressive way. Across our campus and in the buildings that many of you will have passed today on the way to the Barony Hall, our academics and students are developing drugs that fight disease and illness. For example, we currently have several drugs in clinical trials in the areas of degenerative kidney disease, cancer, and inflammatory disease. Strathclyders are also producing energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to establish a low-carbon economy, something for which Scotland has been showing great leadership over the past decade or so. We are revolutionising global manufacturing and helping to create the fourth industrial revolution, the so-called Industry 4.0. Our students continue their work in Africa to establish water and power supplies and to deploy healthcare systems for remote communities. They are bringing prosthetic limb technologies to India and Africa, and they are working very importantly to inform public policy and our national economic strategy. Our staff in the £100 million Technology and Innovation Centre, launched by the First Minister just over 2.5 years ago, is in George Street, bringing together this multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary thematic in future cities, photonics, bio-nanosystems, smart grid and pharmaceuticals. Thomas Edison, that I referred to earlier on, he called his technical team and laboratories his inventions factory. The Technology and Innovation Centre is our innovations factory. And we are now in the closing stages of acquiring the adjacent building, the Innovo building from Scottish Enterprise, to drive forward Strathclyde's leadership in having created Scotland's first innovation district here in the heart of Glasgow, resonating with the history of the pioneers in this city some 120 years ago at the turn of the 20th century. But more importantly, we are providing people with opportunities to transform the lives of them, their families and their communities. And as mentioned earlier, we still attract many first-generation students to Strathclyde. And finally, we're giving business and industry the tools that they need to have greater innovation, to promote business growth, economic impact, and make the quality of life that we have in Scotland more sustainable and healthy. These are some of the reasons that why in recent years we've had a terrific sequence of independent recognition of what we do and how we do it. In recent years, we've been recognised at the annual UK Times Higher Education Awards ceremony, including the UK Research Project of the Year. We were the UK University of the Year, followed closely by being named the UK Entrepreneurial University of the Year. And 6 months ago, we were named the UK Business School of the Year. And just as importantly, in June this year, we won the UK Workplace of the Year, recognising not only what we do, but how we do it, alongside all of our staff and students. So, Strathclyde continues to demonstrate the ability to have a disproportionate impact, principally through all of you, our graduates, our excellent graduates and postgraduates, but also in the quality of our research, and highly effective ways that we've created to translate our knowledge to the benefit of society and our industry and public sector partners. We continue to be a driver for sustainable economic growth, and Strathclyde has a distinct role in that key national objective. Our universities must be seen as a national investment, and with an annual Scottish Government investment of around £1.1 billion, the sector returns back impact to the tune of around £6 billion worth of contribution every year to the Scottish economy. And certainly, the achievements of our students and staff in the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences over the past year give me great confidence in the future. And just give me a moment to reflect on just an edited set of highlights and the fantastic achievements under Professor Douglas Brodie and his team. The Confucius Institute for Scotland Schools, co-funded by the University, Scottish Government and the Chinese Government, was appointed a model Confucius Institute by Hanban, the Beijing headquarters of the institutes worldwide. It's one of only around 40 institutes from a total of over 500 around the world to have been conferred with this status, confirming us as a world leader in the teaching of Chinese language and culture. Indeed, the Chinese ambassador to the UK came here to the campus in September to make the announcement personally. Professor David Kinloch in our School of Humanities was shortlisted in the Poetry Book of the Year category of the Saltire Literary Awards. The MCR Pathways programme, led by our alumnus Dr Ian McRitchie and in partnership with Strathclyde, received both the People Make Glasgow Award and the Aspiring Sitting Awards and the Education Initiative of the Year in the Herald Society Awards. And this programme provides mentoring and engages some 2,500 people around Glasgow to help raise aspirations of school pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds. Dr Elspeth Jadielska and Caroline Verdier, both in Humanities, received the Scottish Government Arts and Humanity Awards through the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And according to research led by Dr Fraser Laughlin in Psychological Sciences and Health, parents could hold the key to the future prosperity of Gaelic in Scotland, even if they do not speak the language themselves. The study found that as much value was placed on Gaelic by non-speakers as by speakers, demonstrating a marked change in attitude from 3 decades ago, when the speaking of minority languages in general was found to be discouraged. The Hospice Centre for Lifelong Learning is Strathclyde's age-friendly academy drivers, promoting the contribution of older people in the workplace and wider society, and is highlighting Strathclyde's commitment to the concept of positive ageing by offering learning opportunities throughout the course of life. And I was delighted to note that the student-led Strathclyde Law Clinic's Executive Committee won the Team of the Year category in the Herald Society Awards. The Law Clinic is a regular winner of awards recognising the impact of what they do, and my colleagues in the law school, my academic colleagues, do a great deal to underpin our students' achievements. And finally, the Strathclyde-based Centre for Excellence for Looked After Children in Scotland, or CELSIS, is a partner in the Permanence and Care Excellence Programme, or PACE, and that won the Young People's Project of the Year in the Herald Society Awards. CELSIS does an outstanding job in terms of a disproportionate impact on the well-being of young people here in Scotland, and indeed drafted the codes in the United Nations for looked after children across the globe. And earlier this year, CELSIS and the Centre for Youth and Criminal Justice came together to establish here at Strathclyde the Institute for Inspiring Children's Futures, and that new institute was formally launched by the Deputy First Minister, Mr John Swinney, sometime in June this year. So, to my graduates, this is the exciting context within which you should view your awards. You're graduates of a university that places students at the heart of everything that we do. We value education and research excellence and create strong connections with society at large, as well as the business world. And with regard to internationalisation, we are blessed with a very diverse, high-quality community around this university. But we also collaborate, compete, but also contribute to the globe in partnership with many others. So, for example, our key partners in the States include the Stanford University, New York University, and MIT, with a growing partnership with Caltech and the University of Southern California. In China, we work with Tsinghua and Peking universities and the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. In Singapore, our partners are the National University of Singapore and Nanyang Technological University. And we have a raft of strong partners across Europe, something that must also be factored into the deliberations as we look at this challenging moment in the history of Europe. Scotland is a very proud part of Europe. I was a public supporter of remaining in Europe and all that meant in terms of not only trade, but diversity, translation of people, and impact on society. And with that, I initially reluctantly agreed, but now I'm enthusiastically agreed to become president of CESAR, which is the European Community of Technological Universities, some 51 institutions. And when I asked exactly why they wanted me to do that, they said that they wanted a Scottish accent on behalf of Britain to try and make the case in Brussels for the power of universities and the underpinning that they like to see. They also said that they wanted an English speaker, but I did point out to them that I was brought up in Govan, so there might need to be some simultaneous translation in the debate, but that's remained to be seen. So CESAR is a platform for Strathclyde to stay engaged, regardless of what the next couple of years hold for us. Strathclyde will be at the sharp end of making sure Scottish higher education's voice is heard in that broader European echo chamber. But our students, all of you, benefit directly from being part of an international university. This helps you emerge with the skills necessary to help yourselves in your career, but also to help Scotland play an important part in the world. And our students have been exposed to many different cultures and traditions. And very importantly, all of you leave here today understanding your obligations as global citizens. And as well as our international impact, we also take our local responsibilities very seriously. We've provided leadership, and I've had the privilege of chairing the Glasgow Economic Leadership Board for 6 years now. I've recently invited Susan Aitken, the new leader of Glasgow City Council, to co-chair that body with me to try and build and drive the Glasgow economy around engineering, life sciences, finance and business, tourism, and the excitement around this is really growing, and we look forward to taking that on to the next level, again, emulating the merchants at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. We remain with some pride, and this is credit to my staff, the leading Scottish research-intensive university for widening participation in our programmes for students from some of the most challenged communities in Scotland. And I'm pleased to say that we're already 3 years ahead of our strategic programme, where over 1,000 young people have joined us from some of the most challenged communities, over 500 of whom come from what is referred to as SIMD 0 to 20. Our doors are wide open to people of talent and aspiration, and it's our job with many of you to make sure that we keep that flow, that sense of opportunity to come in here. And in that same period, we have now become the 6th in the list in the UK, the 6th highest entrance requirements university. So that makes a nonsense of the statement that young people that come from challenged backgrounds bring down your entrance qualifications. I'll have none of that. If you make this a strategic priority, work with our colleagues in the school system and colleges, we can make sure that this human talent, this underpinning of the Scottish contribution to the world, can get every bit of opportunity, as I did when I was their age coming into the university. And I should say on that note, one of the highlights for me, as well as ceremonies like this, that this year we had our 4th graduation of the Children's University. I'm the Chancellor of the Children's University. I had some 150 5 to 12-year-olds here with their parents, none of whom had crossed the threshold of a university before. Now, I've got a personal preference for that ceremony because it's one of the few ceremonies where I actually look tall. It's fantastic. Although I have to say, some 12-year-olds, I have to reach up and cap them. And they leave here having had a learning passport stamp. When they go to the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery, they get a stamp. They go to the Glasgow Science Centre, they get a stamp. Go to night classes, and when they fill up their passport, they come here to this hall and they get a bachelor's degree from the Children's University. And if they stay on for another couple of years, keep that effort going with their parents' support and their students, their teachers' support, they get a master's degree. And much to the nervousness of my staff, by the time they reach 14, they can get a PhD from the Children's University. Imagine that talented bunch coming to see us in a few years' time. We need to pull our socks up, I have to tell you. But all credit to my wonderful staff that underpin that. So let me conclude by saying, if I characterise Strathclyde now in 2017, I would like to describe us as having ambition, focus and momentum, with the agility and commitment to the delivery of our strategy so necessary to absorb the continuing challenges in our sector and the uncertainties that we're currently facing. It's a great privilege for me to lead this institution with the fantastic support I get from an executive team that's full of superb people, as well as the broader community of academics, professional staff and support staff. And I believe strongly that our founder, John Anderson, would recognise what we are doing today as the realisation of what he sought to establish during the Scottish Enlightenment. We now seek here at Strathclyde in modern society to be an agent for positive change in Glasgow, in Scotland and in the international scene. And most importantly, graduates, I am certain that you will have an enormous impact on society and that 2017 can truly become a vintage year. And with that in mind, and as you leave the hall today, you leave not just with an award, but with a responsibility. You're now joining an alumni community of some 170,000 people around the world. Whatever you do with your degree and wherever you go to pursue your career, remember that useful learning should also have you applying your knowledge for the benefit of others, making a positive impact for yourselves and the communities that you belong to, respecting diversity, valuing freedom of expression and thought, and reaching conclusions and resolving disputes by reason. These characterise the core values of your university. And let me now conclude by turning to today's celebration. We are all here to mark your enormous achievements, and well done to all of you that received your degrees today. And on behalf of the University of Strathclyde, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to all of you and wish you every success in your future careers. Please stay in touch with us and let us know about your progress. Well done again, and please enjoy the rest of this very special day. Thank you. I hope you've all enjoyed this as much as myself and the staff. It's a fantastic day. When we close the ceremony, as I'm about to do, I assume the weather is still reasonable. Please join us over in the Lord Todd Hall for some refreshments and some networking. Well done again to all of our graduates and to all of you that are here today to support them. Let me now formally close this graduation ceremony. Thank you very much.